Hello, welcome to Tim's Inner Monologues number 32. Now, before I get into the title of today's video, I do want to stress that I am back in the shed just for today. It's just easier for me to do than setting up my phone and this. I'm also struggling with phone storage at the moment. So at the moment, today's video is just going to be on the computer. I promise that it will be back to normal from the following weeks. I also will be doing a video next week as I'm fighting, so my full focus is on that and recovering. I have no interest in making a video then. I apologize, last week I was supposed to do a video completely, I was too lazy unfortunately. I'm joined by Lola, my dog, and her pet cat toy. So, anyway, welcome to Tim's Inner Monologues number 32. The Dangers of Pornography Part 2. Now, I'm going to just pull up YouTube on my second screen just so I can remember what the exact title was. But I did say that I wanted to, sorry, I did want to make part 2. I could make loads of parts to this. So, if I just go on my YouTube channel at the moment, my small little YouTube channel, we have Tim's Inner Monologues number 31, Porn Addiction and How to Beat It. This video is going to be on the dangers of pornography. Now, so I did go over it a slight bit on the YouTube video, I do admit, and I know that I could have gone into it in more detail. The problem was I'd be, making the video for over 30-40 minutes long. But this is what today's video will be on. So the dangers of pornography. Why is it that every pope has said it's the devil's work? And why is it that something that we should all flee as men and women? Well, the understanding is pornography didn't come about until just before the 19th century, just before the 20th century. It came out as a video for the first time, and of course this is sort of to submerge the idea of what sexual relations are. So within society, we've always been taught, up until the sexual revolution, that sex is to be left alone between one man, one woman in marriage. This has been something since the dawn of time, regardless of religion, regardless of belief. It was argued that if you wanted to have sex, you had to get married. That was it. Same in the Bible. God joined Adam and Eve as one. Even Christ himself says that a man and woman has to, when they get married, they become one flesh. That's why they can't get divorced. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking to yourself, well, why is it so bad? Why can't we just watch people, procreate online and then find pleasure from it? Why is that not a bad thing? Well, the harsh truth is our minds are not built to be watching other people do it. Every time we ejaculate, I'll just use the word finish because it's easier for me to say. And also, hopefully I don't get community striked from this. Every time we finish, we release multiple hormones in our body. Endorphins, dopamine. Dopamine is the biggest thing. And I did cover this. I said, why is it that people start off very, very little and then get progressively worse in the categories? It's just for the fact that our dopamine receptors get blocked after a certain while and we look for more stimulating things. And constantly watching other people procreate is provided a sort of perverse stimulation for our mind. Now, obviously, pornography has spread drastically with the creation of the internet. I mean, originally it was magazines and VHS tapes. Now it goes into videos, Instagram, YouTube videos, soft pornography. You've got paid subscription. You have all of these things. And even in a day-to-day society, if you don't watch any sort of sexual content, you are consistently bombarded with sexual images, with images through advertisement, through social media, through the news. We're constantly surrounded, even with how people dress. I mean, some women and men will dress to the point where they're completely naked, and it just seems to be as a fashion statement. Like, when was it socially acceptable to show basically 3/4 of the boob and just cover the nipple? In modern society, that's become a fashion statement. Or aggressively showing the back and the stomach, like crop tops. Or showing the legs to the point where you can literally see the crease of the bum. So we must understand that although we may reject pornography, sexual promiscuity is still in today's society, and I'm going to go into reason why. The true reason why is it's to demolish the modern family. As simple as that. Satan, from the dawn of time, has always tried to demolish the family unit. Why? Well, where did Jesus come from? Jesus came from Mary, mother of God, and from God himself, but was brought up and raised by a holy family, Saint Joseph and Mother Mary. And Satan knows that in order to raise saints, a family is necessary. I mean, if you want to talk about families and the collapse of families and why having a family is a good idea, then I would heavily advise you to look at one specific statistic, and that would be those who are in jail. Have a look, regardless of race. But I'm not going to go into a racial thing. I'm not going to go into a major statistics thing. Have a look at those who are in prison and who have reported to have a strong family and a weak family. Maybe no father, no mother, whatever. Dysfunctional family. Look at the statistic. So I urge you to do that. And Satan knows that in order to corrupt the youth, in order to corrupt society, we must go after the parents. Hitler did the exact same thing after the Hitler Youth. He didn't go after the parents, he went after the children. And then he made the children to snitch on their parents. This is commonplace in all of society. How do you brainwash society? You go after the youngest generation. Adults refuse to change. Try and debate an adult on a belief they've had for the last 20 years. Chances are they're not gonna go, okay, cool, you're right, I changed my beliefs. You speak to and argue with a child that's had the beliefs for maybe 2 years. The child's gonna go, okay, you're right, and that's how you do it. I mean, that's with anything. How do you indoctrinate society? Go after the children. So Satan knows this, and by pushing pornography, by pushing sexual immorality in today's society, he knows that it can destroy relationships. Well, for the sole reason that people are not coming together and they see sex as a transactional thing. Well, if two people, a man and woman, come together, they can have sex. They'll wear contraception so that the goal of procreation is to have a child. And they use it for specifically pleasurable items only, mainly for the man's pleasure. And then obviously after a one-night stand, what do? You say goodbye and that's it, and you never see them again. It's a very damaging thing, because both men and women look at love differently. And the harsh truth, hang on 1 second, my dad's messaging. And the harsh truth is that one night stands remove the idea. When in all of society, sex was preserved for those that were married, and the goal was to procreate and have children. That was the whole entire goal. Why do you think you had families with 11, 12, 13, 14 kids? It's because the goal was always to procreate and to have more children. In today's society, where pornography is rampant and contraception is rampant, there is no urge to have children. Well, you can always just sit there and go, oh, well, we'll wait, we'll explore each other, and then we'll decide to have children. Which I find is completely wrong. Now, to go back on the dangers of pornography, I could do a video on the dangers of contraception. I most likely will. But the dangers of pornography is this. A, it perverses the idea that sex is purely transactional. That it is of course, sex is a pleasurable thing, but it's a purely transactional item. That a man and woman come together, they maybe have their fun for 30, 40 minutes, and that's it. Nothing is brought out. There's no ties, there's no love, there's no nothing. It's cold and brutal. Number 2, pornography teaches things that shouldn't be taught in sex are completely permissible, such as oral completion, such as sodomy and homosexuality. Now, will I go into who controls the porn industry? Yes, I will actually, because it's an interesting subject, and I will actually speak about what those people said about the porn industry, and I will explain to you why. Well, for the sole reason is these ideas such as sodomy, homosexuality, you know, stimulation without completion, if you understand what I'm trying to say here. Well, the Catholic Church would teach, for example, you would have to finish within the woman. You can't just do it outside. The reason why these genres are being promoted so much is to prevent having children. You can't have children if you're a homosexual. You can't have children if you're a sodomite. You can't have children if you do oral stimulation. It doesn't work like that. Because we all know how children are created. It's like every time someone says, "Oh, I accidentally had a kid." I'm sorry. Did you come together with your wife and expect a 50-inch plasma TV to come out? No. You're doing an act that can procreate a child. That can create a child. So the reason why all of these sort of acts and they call them categories are being promoted is for the sole purpose of not having children. I mean, if men are constantly watching pornography, they're not out looking for a wife, they're not out bettering themselves. They become this indulgent into this dopamine sort of cycle where they have to be constantly watching worse and worse things. They become perverse and only see women as a bag of flesh to have sex with. And women are being brought in, filled with contraception, filled with pills and hormones. My question to you is, you're taking the pill for whatever reason, or you're taking contraceptive methods. Why aren't you looking at the side effects? Look at the birth control pill. The side effects of the birth control pill is like 15 pages long. There's a reason why every woman is on antidepressants, because they think the world's wrong with them. No, it's because you're on the pill. It's because you're taking contraceptions, because you're hooking up with other men. Of course, there's no idea that the goal of pornography is not to have children. As simple as that. It destroys the family and you don't have children from it. You can't have children if you use contraception. You can't have children if you use perversive ways to have sex. It doesn't work. And you might sit there and go, "Oh, well, these are your body is to be explored." Of course it is, but there are certain things you can and can't do. And there's a reason why Catholic the teaching of the body, the TOB, is so talked about in the Catholic Church. It's a set of rules that we abide by, not because we're forced by them, but because they are morally good for us. In the same way, a father disciplines his son, not to be coarse and rude and arrogant, but because he knows it's the best for his son. And it's the same with anything in life. Now, that's why pornography is bad. It destroys the family as it is. It makes men see women as bags of flesh, and it makes women see themselves as the only thing they can offer is their body. And it perverses relationships into the idea that the goal in life is to have sex. The goal isn't to get married and start a family, it's to have sexual intercourse. I mean, how many times have you heard it? Oh, yeah. You know, people go around hooking up at university. I was in university. I've seen it all my life. The goal is, especially in like sixth form and high school, or secondary school, high school for Americans, is just to hook up with as many women as possible. You had all the cool guys that were with so many women at a time. That just seems the normal societal thing. And it's exceptionally damaging. It's completely damaging. Now, this is why pornography is a terrible thing. Outside of that, it causes male depression. It causes female depression. Why? Because you have this sense of loneliness. I already talked about it on the video, but this post-nut clarity thing is your brain telling you that what you have just done is bad. When you come together and you have sexual intercourse with your wife, you're not supposed to feel bad afterwards. You have the aftercare, the love, the relationship, the fact that you're with a woman for life. It's not like you're sat there at 11 p.m. at night, you know, masturbating to yourself. It's a disgusting thing. Now, I'm now going to go into the second part of the video. Who controls it? Why is it run? I mean, I already talked about why it's run, but who exactly controls it? Now, if you look at the videos, if you look at the owners of, I think it was one of the first pornographic magazines was a Jew. And he openly stated that the reason why he wanted to push the magazine and why pornography exists was to stain the Catholic and Christian faith. It was like a sword to try and pierce the church. And you have so many men nowadays, so many Christian men struggling with lust, because it's everywhere in our society. It's everywhere in how women and men dress, in how advertisements, in news segments, in everything else. And of course it's prevalent in today's society. Of course men struggle with it because it's all we've ever seen. It's all we ever see in movies. It's all we ever see in society. It's all we ever see in relationships. And it might even come down to what we even see in our family. Do you mind? Snoring girl. So of course men are accustomed and struggle with it on a regular basis. And if we struggle with lust on a regular basis, we struggle with pornography, we struggle with addiction, then we reject Christ and his love and his sacrifice for us. If we're too busy looking at pornography, of course we're not praying. Of course we're not looking at the Bible. Of course we're not studying it. Of course we're not going to mass. Because what's the point? Hang on, dog's having a nightmare. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, of course men are struggling with it. So we look at who owns the porn industry. If you look at who owns the major industry, the major industry names, so called, we can clearly see it is of a certain religion. It is the Jewish religion. Now, I'm not going to sit there and start bashing on Jews. It's not the part of the video. It's not to say that all Jews are bad. So if you come here and you go, oh, you're an anti-Semite, no, you're a Nazi, you're an idiot, okay? I'm sorry, you're an absolute idiot. But if you look at who owns the porn industry, it is majority Jewish rabbis, and they all do one thing. They all promote it, and they all openly talk about how it is damaging to the Christians. I mean, of course, a perfect example of this, if you don't want people to breed, if you don't want people to have children, then all you do is you make food industry, you make sexual industry very, very cheap to become a pleasurable thing where neither party are having children, and you make them do acts that cannot bear children. It's just the honest truth. And then you breed them out of existence. Why do you think the European race is dying? Is because we're not having enough children. We're bred into this idea that everyone can just use contraception all the time, that is perfectly permissible no matter what. And then of course people aren't having kids. Of course society is collapsing. Of course we're being overtaken by illegal immigrants who are having 8, 9, 10, 15 kids. This is an obvious answer. So when it comes to having children, we can predominantly look and say that the Jewish rabbis have a massive control on the porn industry. It's not Christian ministries, it's not priests, it's not bishops that have the control of the industry. It is Jewish rabbis, because they know that in order to remove the European race, they firstly have to remove the idea of sex and marriage. What's the point of getting married anymore, is what I hear from so many men. What's the point? I'm just going to have a girlfriend, we can have sex and move together, and I'll just sign a prenup if I need to get married. What's the point of a piece of paper? How many times have I heard that? Marriage is just a piece of paper. It's not a piece of paper. Marriage is not a piece of paper. So, and the porn industry removes this idea of marriage, removes this idea as something that we can just do and get away with no consequences. It's not the case. It's not the truth. Look at so many people nowadays. Why do you think there's so many unhappy women? Why do you think 50% of women are on depressants? 50%, by the way. Why do you think by I think it's 2030 or 2050, 50% of women are going to be single and lonely? It's because we've built this sort of hookup culture that we can just have sex with whoever we want. We can have sex with whoever, it doesn't matter. Do whatever, and we get away with it with no consequences. There are real consequences to everything you do in life, including having hookups, including having sex before marriage, including not getting married. It stains the heart and it stains the soul, and we all know this. Even God warns us. Christ warns us this so many times, and yet we still fall into the same thing. So, just understand, the porn industry is inherently wrong and sinful. It is a disgusting thing that exploits women and exploits men. That's it. And it is controlled by Jewish rabbis who openly promote and hate Christianity. If you are to watch pornography, you are openly promoting the persecution and the destroyance of the Christian religion. That is it. Now, if you're not religious and you don't care about Christianity, but you still want to stop watching pornography, it's very simple. Testosterone is constantly leaving your body and constantly being created. If you cannot control yourself, how do you expect to be a better man? If you have no self-control over your own pleasures, how can you be a better man? I'll tell you now, I haven't self-pleasured in over 2.5 years. It has been a very difficult decision, but it's been the best decision ever. I feel I have so much more clarity. I'm far more confident. I have so many less problems than I have had before. This idea that you should do it constantly to be healthy and to boost your immune system is a bunch of garbage. Oh, and by the way, women can smell it. I just want to let you know. Why are you thinking, oh, women won't see me? Women won't why doesn't a woman want me? It's because she can smell it from half a mile away, bro. Like, of course she can. Are you stupid? I'm sorry, but anyway, this is just the honest truth. This is just the honest truth. The porn industry is a terrible industry for both men and women. We must understand the dangers of it. Now, I'm not gonna go. I could again go have part 3, 4, 5, 6 on why it's damaging. I could pull up statistics on how it's destroying the family, how it's destroying men, how it's destroying women. Why are marriage rates so low? Why do I hear all the time, oh, I'm in a situationship with someone, I'm in a hookup situationship with someone, oh, this or this or this. Why are so many women depressed? Why are so many men depressed? If I guarantee, look, if you're a man and you have depression, quote unquote, I guarantee these 3 things will fix you. Find God, stop watching pornography, and go and exercise. 95 of your problems are going to be gone and over time, over 6 months. But if you're constantly watching pornography, then of course you'll never get better. Of course men struggle with it all the time. It's a normal thing. It's everyone vilifies it. It's a normal thing. Yeah, man, don't worry, man. Masturbating and self-pleasure and watching heinous categories is a normal thing. It's not a normal thing. No one has ever done it. There was a very great quote, and I'll leave you with this. Life was better when it was harder for men to see boobs. Think of all of society up until the last 30 years. Was society better than it is now? The answer is yes. Ever since the mass adoption of the internet, life has gradually decreased into nothing. Life was better when it was harder for men to see naked women. I'll leave you with that one. Have a great Sunday, guys. God bless you. Again, I will not be doing a video next week because I'm fighting, so please pray for me it goes well. After that, I will be heading off to Mallorca the following week after, so there may not be any videos for the next 2 weeks, but we shall see. Maybe I might do a video Saturday evening again. I don't know, so we'll see. God bless you. Have a great day. Reach out to me if you guys are struggling with anything. But effectively, TLDR, porn is bad, and the Jewish elite control it. Ciao.